I want to start actually with a story of what I believe is one of the best innovation situations I've come across, and then probably usher this into the different angle that I want to take on innovation today. So in my work, I have to travel a lot. That's unfortunate. My wife saw the movie with George Clooney, and she was happy finally that somebody decided to dedicate a movie to my lifestyle. She thought I'll be a millionaire. She didn't think it will be in miles, but that was life. I was standing in line in one of those airlines, and the guy in front of me was absolutely rude. He was cursing, he was using profanity, and the flight attendant or whatever, the crew member there was so calm, so composed. I was watching her as she was conducting herself, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. So it was my turn to come and check in my luggage. And I said to her, ma'am, I just have to tell you, I observed the way he treated you, and no one should be treated like this. No one should be spoken to in this type of language. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the way you conducted yourself. And she looked at me and she said, sir, please do not worry. His luggage is going to Alaska. She then proceeded to ask if I have any luggage to check. I'm like, no way. This is mine. You're not going anywhere. This is, ladies and gentlemen, what I believe is a true innovation challenge. Until now, we talked about a lot of types of innovations, of products, of space, of mobile. But while we are working to try to get the budget for the one project that may happen, about 100,000 of your employees are innovating every day. They're doing exactly that. They don't have budget. They don't have approval. Heck, they don't have the CEO to support them, and yet they are innovating. Because if we believe that we are shifting from a product-centric world to a customer-centric world, then we are no longer the sum total of our processes and products. We are now the sum total of our employees' decisions. And when you want to go to innovation as a sustainable model, you really need to start innovating the performance of people. It's, by the way, the most elusive and difficult material to work with. They change things. They come with different flavors. But when you get that, you can embed in the organization a culture that will take the risk, a culture that will do it. And for those of you who are already starting to think, you know, in healthcare it's not going to work, in banking it's not going to work, guess what? It's happening already. You're not there in every conversation of your employees. You're not there in every decision that they make how to treat the customers. That is the real innovation that is taking place every day. And there is no way you can do a top-down approach to that. It has to be a bottom-up. At Strativity, that's exactly what we do. We help organizations build a platform for innovation across the board through a customer-centric context. And by the way, some people ask me about the name Strativity. This is our rejection for the current model of innovation and strategy. Because until now, what we do is we build all the creativity up front, and then we have a new process, and then everybody's supposed to march to the new order. It doesn't work. That strategy or that innovation will be copied tomorrow by the competition. We reversed it and said, look, let's provide them with strategic guidelines, let's provide them with customer context, and then unleash the power of performance of the thousands of employees that you have. Creativity cannot be on the front end. It has to be all the way executed by every employee. We cannot stop creativity the moment we define our innovation or we define our strategy. It just doesn't make any sense. Not in an era of customer empowerment. Now, you all talk about innovation, and I want to put a context to it, because if we agree on the context, then we can continue through the case study that I want to share with you. And those of you who've seen me at Strategy, I do have some new material. I'm not a one-trick pony. So, you all want exceptional experience. You want your value to be profitable. You want the customers to choose you. That is your target. That's why we do innovation, unless you're a nonprofit or an academic organization where you can allow yourself to do that. When I work in technology, by the way, I did have an R&D that did not develop stuff because they didn't like it. It wasn't interesting for them, and I did try to take the tax benefit by registering them as a nonprofit. My CFO was not so happy with that. In order for us to get the customer choice, we need to deliver the customer the absolute best choice, which is exceptional experience, not just okay. And here's the thing. If you're product-centric, there's just so much innovation you can do a year. Which means The moment that innovation was introduced, you got about a month for them to get excited. After that, they take it for granted. You're back to the same problem. It's no longer exceptional. Unless we go to the root cause, performance innovation, which is employees constantly innovating in every interaction. And that leads us to the ultimate problem, which is the employee choice. So those of you who work in retail environment or hospitality know the problem very well. There's no money in the world you can pay an employee to smile sincerely. You can pay them to smile, but not sincerely. Sincerely is a personal choice. You don't trust me? Just board any one of the airlines and you'll get one of those union negotiated smiles like, hey, welcome aboard. It's like, what happened to your face? Well, they told me I need to smile 30 seconds for business class, 10 seconds for economy. We are now in a world where employees' choice is dictating differentiation. In your world of product or program or retail space innovation, you can control that. You cannot control what they do on the stage. So you can build the stage, you can build the set, but the performance that will be delivered on that stage, that is their choice. And the question is, would that be a Broadway award-winning show, or would that be a Cuyahoga Community College Theater Department show? That is the new element that we are dealing with. So we need to recognize that the days of product centricity, when we have what we call spike-based innovation, are really shifting to an employee-based innovation. It's an ongoing innovation. Every interaction is a battleground to impress the customer. That is a shift in the way we manage our people. This is no longer about memos from the top. We all in the innovation business admire our guru. You know? What would Steve Jobs do? That's the new mantra. And he was focusing on physical innovation, which is product, space, advertising, packaging, things that we can control centrally from headquarters, and life will be good. This is the new innovation. It's about experiences, it's about behaviors, it's about people, it's about their processes. And by the way, have you ever thought about innovating your apology process? Because mistakes are going to happen. Do you have an innovative way to impress the customer during screw-ups? That's behavioral innovation. There is a shift. If you believe that we are in customer-empowered era, it's no longer what we control from the top. It's about building the platform for innovation that will come from the bottom and unleash the power of all the individuals that are going to be involved. And the case study I'm going to share with you was Mercedes-Benz with 25,000 employees that we need to deal with in a very short period of time. So every time we talk about this, usually the CEO will say, you've got to meet John and Heather. They're great. When the customers talk to them, they love them. We have so many thank you letters for John and Heather. And I said, great, 2 down, 5,000 to go. What about the rest? Because the customer who just spoke to Heather, tomorrow he's going to come back. What do you think his expectation is going to look like? He just heightened his expectations, right? Because Heather was amazing. But because Heather is not part of a cultural shift, his disappointment is going to get even worse. You might as well just keep them all on the okay zone because it doesn't help otherwise. And that is a shift where our employees, and unfortunately sometimes the lowest paid employees, are now owning the differentiation. Again, you can put the stage, you can put the draperies, but if the actors don't act from the bottom of their heart, we've got a problem. We've got a serious problem. Companies who committed to customer centricity as a strategy, not as spiked innovation, have done better than the S&P. I'm not going to go into the details, but let's go back to why are you innovating? Because at the end of the day, you want to deliver differentiated promise consistently. You cannot do it one time, it's consistent. And there are a couple issues. From a customer standpoint, the question will be, would it inspire me? Would it engage me emotionally? Would I desire it to the point that I'm willing to pay money? And we are all trying to get premium price. We're not just trying to get a price. Does it come to life, or did they lie to me? Or do I receive it all the time? Is there a consistency element? But then comes the employee challenge. And that was a very hard challenge for us with Mercedes-Benz. A marquee brand, the innovator and the inventor of the car, for those of you who did not know. And we came across something very interesting. They were not proud of the brand they were representing. They weren't proud. The employees, some of them did not even know that we invented the car. Did not even know that we are part of that great heritage. And some of you will say, believe? Pride? How do you do that? That's touchy-feely stuff. That touchy-feely stuff is the foundation for performance innovation. get that out of the system, and they were selling metal. And they were fighting on price. Build that into the innovation, and all of a sudden, people are treating customers differently. And when I talked about innovation in customer context, one of the heretic statements that we shared with Mercedes first thing was, nobody needs a Mercedes. And they look at us like, are you crazy? Is this what we are paying for? I said, no, because if they need to get from point A to point B, they can do it with any other car, including the Crooked H, also known as Hyundai. They don't need to get from point A to point B with a Mercedes. Crooked H, Hyundai. Their H is crooked. You need to build folk. Yeah, you need to build folk in order to get people innovative. But then we introduced the concept. They desire a Mercedes-Benz. They were dreaming about it from the age of 5. Hence, when they come to the dealership and the first question is, what car are you looking for today? That's the wrong question. What dream are we going to fulfill today? That is where we're going to tap into emotions. And at the beginning, they thought it was a bit hokey until they started to close a lot of sales with those different innovative approaches, and all of a sudden it changes. So, do I believe in it? And ask yourself, how many of your employees are proud of your business, are proud of what you do? We've dealt with a credit card company where only 3% of their employees were using their credit card. I mean, that's not a foundation for anything. So when we approach it, we start with the question of, what is the memory? How long would they remember the experience? Would they remember it for 10 years or 10 seconds? That is the real battleground today. Most companies have already optimized their processes to some degree. Many of them are fixing it. But at the end of the day, most of my clients, they're not suffering from dysfunction. They're suffering from boredom. Customers are yawning when they see them. There's nothing special. They hang up the phone, they forgot even who they spoke to. They got to the retail store, they got out of it as soon as possible. And the question is, do we have a differentiated promise that will be remembered? Then the next question is, do we have the performance to deliver it? Across every aspect of the journey, and you mentioned the journey mapping, that is a legitimate question. Do we know what the journey is? Do we know how to perform it? And then comes the platform element, which is, do we have the culture that will actually invite employees to go and delight customers and innovate in every interaction? And that is oftentimes where we miss the point. The measurements are incorrect, we didn't train them correctly, we didn't provide them with expression methods, but this is the approach that we take in order to create the context for employees to actually going and delighting customers. So when we talk about customer experience, we talk about both the physical value and the emotional value, delivered every time, every employee, every customer, and every interaction, which leads us to the ultimate bottom line. We are living in a new world. It's wow or it's nothing. There is no middle ground anymore. Because this will be, the definition for us is surprise and impress. It will be no different than my wife coming to tell me, it's like, Lior, you didn't say I love you, you know? And I'm like, okay, I love you. She's like, now, really? Really? It's too late. I kind of just told you to do it. I'm not impressed. I'm not surprised. My brother-in-law tried a very interesting trick. He works for IBM Global Services, which will explain what he did. He said to my sister, look, I told you I love you once. If it will change, I'll let you know. And I would submit to you that is exactly what we do to our clients every day. We told you we love you once. What's the problem? Keep on sending the money. What's the problem? Surprise and impress is the new benchmark. And therefore, we cannot wait until a problem that will be then ideated and then validated and then after the O gap eventually get somewhere. We need tens of thousands of employees delighting every day, surprising every day. That is the battleground. And whatever surprised me yesterday is today's taken for granted. And now I need to move to the next one. So we are living in a world that is by far more ongoing than the few projects that we can handle. And the question is, how do we unleash the power of innovation across the board? Next element, and we've seen that all the time, in the business of premium price, you're not competing against your industry. You're competing against the best of the world. Your competition is the best of the world. When your customers step into your store with a Louis Vuitton bag, unless she bought it here on Canal Street, where we have some extra Louis Vuitton manufacturers, as you know, unless she bought it there, she didn't get it on sale. She paid full price for that. Because Louis Vuitton for 140 years never been on sale, never, ever. Our customers are judging you and all of us by the best experience that happened to them. So yes, you are competing against Ritz-Carlton. Yes, you are competing against the Southwest or the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line or any other amazing experience that they've had. And that's a new context that we need to explain to our customers, to our employees. They can no longer excuse themselves to say, well, the car dealership across the bridge is so mediocre, I can be a mediocre plus, and they'll forgive me. They don't care about that. If you want premium price, if you want exceptional results, we are now competing against a totally different group. The next element that we teach employees is how to reframe the problem, how to understand the problem from the customer context. And I'm going to introduce a B2B example here. We work with a pharmaceutical company who was introducing a new depression pill. They did all the studies. The product was perfect, approved by FDA, until they got to the payers. United Healthcare said, we are not listing it. WellPoint said, we are not listing it. If they don't list it, you understand that's a dead sentence for the product, because if they're not covering it, we've got a problem. And they show them all the product details, and they said, we don't really care. And when we got involved and started to investigate exactly what was the mindset of the customer, what they said, I hope I didn't say anything to offend you, but it's okay.
Where do you want to start?
What they did tell us is, look, this is not our problem. Our problem is not the pill. The pill represents 3% of disease management. If they want to participate in disease management, which is 100% of our problem, we'll be more than happy to talk to them. And they said, but we're the pill company. We do chemicals. We don't do disease management. And they said, well, thank you very much. Take your pill and go away. Reframe the problem to understand what is the real customer problem that we are solving here. And in B2B or B2C, it's the same issue. We oftentimes narrow the definition to our market share or to our market definition, and it's oftentimes too narrow in order to understand what is the bigger picture of the customer. So we are here in New York City, a city with great innovation, and I want to share with you one of the most amazing innovations I came across in New York City. This is a company called Manna Art Collection. Manna helps the richest people in New York City make a decision on which art pieces to buy. This is the high end of the market. Any price they charge, they get, no problem at all. The interesting thing is how they came about with this idea, because prior to that, in Hoboken, New Jersey, Manna is running a contemporary kind of artist lofts. You can do your own art, and then you can present it to buyers, and they share it, and that was basically a real estate play. But then as they listened to collectors who came to the exhibition, and they said, I wish someone will help me choose the right art, they did not say, well, we are in the narrowly defined real estate space. They said, hey, if they need help, we're in the customer business. Let's go and migrate to that. More interesting is, where did Manna Contemporary idea came from? Because prior to that, they were really an art storage company, and when they went to collect the art from the artists would say, I'm working here in my basement, I need to expand, I wish there would be a space where I can work with other artists and maybe display together. And when they collected those art, they didn't say, well, we are in the art storage business, so we're not really in the business of helping you create. They said, if that's what customer wants, let's go and explore it. Let's expand our value proposition. The interesting thing is how they came up with the idea of art storage, because prior to that, they were really in the wine storage business. So you see, they went and collected wine from rich people, and then those rich people said, I wish there would be like art storage too, because I wish there'll be like one solution. And they didn't say, look, sir, I'm in the wine business, don't confuse me, but I'll see if I can find someone. And that leads me to the original business that led to this transformation. And if you've not seen that in New York City, you have not visited New York City, because the wine storage business came as an idea that employees were empowered to come up with at none other than Moshe Moving. They were an office and apartment moving, still there, but never said, we want to be the best trucking company in New York City. They said, we want to be the best customer company in New York City. And every time there is another idea, we will explore it and we will evolve. And their value proposition is totally different today. This is, by the way, a 10-year period where all these things happen. So reframing the question is absolutely critical, and reframing the question at every employee level. So when they listen to the cues, they don't ignore them, because they're not trying to be the best trucking company, they're trying to be something else. So when we talked to Mercedes, one of our challenges was Mercedes is selling cars through 360 independent dealers. Every one of them is running their own show. They have their own name. There's a little bit of consistency in the retail space. The cars obviously are very consistent, but that's about it. Now you got 25,000 employees working for 360 different companies whom you want to unify because Mercedes was not delivering the customer service and the customer experience that is required by the name that they represent. What do? You have no measurements to hit them with. They do not report to you. Each and every one of them come with legacy that usually starts with, and how many cars did you sell? And what do we do with that? We understood that if we're going to do that as a top-down program, it's going to die. Because the animosity between headquarters and the operators and the franchisees was legendary. No trust there. To the point that Mercedes will not even give them money to treat customers. It was their problem. We started with a program where we ask ourselves, how can we immerse the employees to become each and every one of them a customer? And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because they did not come from the same socioeconomic background. So oftentimes they couldn't relate to what the customer needs are. When I ask a group of them, how would you delight an S-Class owner who's taking delivery of a brand new car, money is not an object, their answer was, we're going to place a bucket of chicken on the driver's seat. And I thought it was one of those jokes where, you know, the candid camera is going to come from somewhere and they're trying to check my... No. They were honest. For $40,000 employee, they don't understand affluent customers. Our approach was creating a program that will ultimately immerse them personally. We made them, by the way, very, very personal because many of them, we found out, resent the customers. You can pay $100,000 for a car? I hate you. I'll never be able to do that. No, I'm talking to you about serious elements. These are things that we oftentimes don't take into account in the design of how do we roll out these type of programs. I want to do it. I know how to do it. I'm proud to do it. And I am the customer. We needed a complete identification with the customer, not as a toolkit, not as words that we feed them, but as a way to communicate and connect on a human level. So yeah, you might not be able to speak to the customer about the resort that he or she just went to in Santa Barbara, but you can talk to them like a human being and connect about your children. You can connect about sports and so on and so forth. The program was launched, and basically we trained face-to-face close to 16,000 people over a 10-month period, full-day training, 23 cities, 76 days altogether. It was an unbelievable experience, and it was all, you know, full-throttle approach that was putting the pressure on the employees to basically understand this is not optional. And it's when you do it on this massive scale that people understand I have nowhere to go. This is happening. And by the way, some employees were fired because they basically said, we didn't sign up for that. We didn't sign up to kiss the customer ass. That's not what I wanted to do. And it was great because the pressure kind of made them surface and we were able to say, look, this is the new rule. This is where we're going with that. The performance we are looking for is not just following the checklist. We're looking for above and beyond. We are looking for your personal choice. Are you on board or not? The satisfaction, you can see, it was unbelievable, and we measured it on a couple of elements. Financial results, profitability, customer satisfaction, and stories. Stories helped us start communicating what is it that we are trying to do here and help people visualize what great looks like. Because if I will send right now 5 of your employees to Walmart and tell them to get me excellence, I'm going to get 5 different things. If I'm going to ask them to get me a lemon, not the BMW, the fruit, I will get the same exact thing. So we needed to make sure that people are starting to understand what the new standards are. And by collecting over 2,000 stories in less than 6 months, there was a tsunami that took place. They did not have time to wait 6 years for a journey or 5 years for a journey. We needed immediate results. And I must tell you, as the people who've been on the road, it was a killing road trip. I mean, every week we would go to another city and, you know, start from scratch and whatever. And what kept us going are the stories. The stories were amazing. The stories made us cry. The stories made us happy. It was amazing how people, the moment we allowed them to do that, started to embrace it in such a big way. And that is where innovation happens on a large scale. One of the things that we've done, I'll finish up, is we actually took a group of employees from all over the country to an immersion process in Las Vegas. We locked the poor guys in the Mandarin Oriental in Vegas, and we gave them money to go to Louis Vuitton and Prada and other places and shop. The poor guys, full day they had to go shop. But we taught them how to be ethnographers, and then we taught them how to apply it to their business. This is, by the way, one of the jokes because the CEO constantly insisted that he wanted them to get out of the box, so we actually installed a box in the entrance with a sign, and we had a photographer for congratulations, you just officially came out of the box. I want to show you what happened there.
It's about immersion and create a customer experience that creates a lasting impression, a lasting memory that leads to that loyalty and advocacy. Imagining, if you will, what our customer experience could be like.
Just be ready for them. You know, when they walk in the door, walk outside, open the door from, hey, we've been waiting for you.
Think about like what you're already doing, even if you think it's perfect. I would think about the ideal experience.
You know, that's our opportunity to really change their perception about coming to the dealership or coming for service.
Be observant. Know about their cell phone. Know about their watches. Look for common ground.
We used the customer's name to show respect. We sent the before and after picture of the dent.
Business cards in the books, manuals filled out, embrace activated, so again, then when she comes out of finance, those things are done. She doesn't have to wait. Again, keeping the flow.
There's a star under the hood too. It needs to shine. If the customer lifts the hood, I want them to know that I was there.
It's really to inspire, to now take all of what we've kind of learned here today and think about how do we go in creating that? What's the how-to?
It was a reality check, and just to realize that we do have to cultivate a culture that focuses on the customer at all times.
We're in the hospitality business, and we need to be more hospitable. There's always room for improvement.
It starts with the employees, and we have to get them involved. We have to get them educated, and we have to change our language.
I realize now that the littlest things can make the biggest difference in the customer's experience.
I'm going to reinforce my company's values and culture.
Everybody that walks through that door is a king or a queen. Take care of them.
We create the culture. It's the people. We are the dream makers. Make it happen. Deliver the Mercedes-Benz dream. That's what it's all about.
They were the beginning of our ambassador program. We've also trained about 100 specialists in customer experience to go into the network, go into the different aspects. And many of you are saying, what's the return on investment on something like this? 2011, when we started, Mercedes grew by 17%. Last year by 13%. All the dealers replied with increased margins last year. Employee engagement jumped by 10%, and on targeted area with technicians by 20%. This year, we are on track to become the #1 luxury manufacturer in America. We are on track with about 13% growth. So from a growth standpoint, you would think that this economy is rocking because Mercedes is selling so many of them. Please don't go to the dealership and ask for an S-Class because we don't have them. That's how good it is. But the best thing is, after 2 years, we jumped from #9 to #1 in customer satisfaction. So not only did we achieve the financial targets, but we did not sacrifice the actual customer satisfaction, and we improved the performance across 25,000 employees across the board in one big thing. So we got the profits, we got the revenues, we got the customer satisfaction and loyalty. That's the story when you actually start innovation from the bottom up and actually unleash the power. Because I must tell you one thing, 25,000 people seeking a way to innovate is statistically much better chance to actually be great than doing that with a small group in headquarters. So with that, thank you very much.